We've been sold this idea from Hollywood that there's some prince charming out there that's looking for us, and we just need to be in the right place so he can find us. People are just kind of getting used to this instant gratification, getting what they want when they want. They're kind of applying that same methodology and mindset to dating, always pursuing the next best thing, never really appreciating what we have. If something doesn't serve us anymore, we just get rid of it. I think it's important to think about really what is the relationship you want, more so than what kind of person you think you need to be with in order to have a successful relationship. They put their standards so high that way nobody will ever be able to get close to them. And it's easier too to be the one that's rejecting people instead of being rejected by someone.
How can guys market themselves better?
Well, I think it comes down to...
Welcome back to another episode. Today's guest is an entrepreneur and a force to be reckoned with. She's a dating expert and one of the leaders in the matchmaking industry. Without further ado, let's welcome the founder and CEO of LUMA Luxury Matchmaking, April Davis. How's it going, April?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
No, I'm very excited. Thank you for being here. And you have been in the dating and matchmaking industry for well over a decade. And you have seen everything that is happening, especially with technology, dating apps, and all of that. Question: what is happening in today's dating world?
Well, it has definitely evolved from, say, 10 years ago. So I think it's just the go-to method to meet people. It's definitely been online dating and apps. We can order up anything online these days. Just get on Instagram Amazon if you want anything, and actually Instagram too. You can order it up on there. But and people are just kind of getting used to this instant gratification and getting what they want when they want, and they're kind of applying that same methodology and mindset to dating, and I call it disposable dating. So people are just they're meeting a lot of people and not really connecting, and so you have a really lonely society, and loneliness is it's prevalent, and I think there's some large percent of the population that says that they feel loneliness within the US, and so it's very, very prevalent and very much an issue. And it's because of our always going after the next best thing and never settling, out. And I read it all the time in people's comments and on social media and stuff. And that, why settle? Just keep dating a bunch of people until you get the next best one. And I just think that's a very sad mindset, because they're going to end up being lonely in the long run, and they're probably not capable, or they just haven't had like a real committed type of relationship that can be very rewarding.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. And I wasn't aware of how damaged the whole dating scene was until like a year or two ago. But how did we get here? How did we go from and that's why I want to talk to you, because you're somebody who has seen it all, at least in the last decade and a half. How did we get to a point where everyone is disposable, with extremely high expectations, and nobody wants to settle?
Yeah, I think it's just that that ever always pursuing the next best thing, never really appreciating what we have, and always like more and more and more kind of consumerism type mentality, right? And we if something doesn't serve us anymore, we just get rid of it, or we upgrade it and we try to get something else. And I think that's really like how people are starting to treat each other. They're not even respectful of each other's time. Like they'll ghost people instead of having real conversations and, saying how they really feel, and, dealing with conflict. They're kind of losing that human, the characteristics that make us human, and the connection that is ultimately, that's why we date and why we have relationships.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier about feeling lonely, and it feels that more people feel the loneliness, and it's interesting because you even say that in the comments, people say, well, I want to be with somebody and I can't find anybody. So it seems like people still want the connections. People still want to find love and feel appreciated. and yet it is so hard for them to find. So it's interesting because outside looking in, we see, okay, people want this, and yet other people seems to be treating everything as a disposable and just having fun, and then just trying to find the next best thing. So how do we see that as a balance in society?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not really a balance. That's the problem, right? Is that they're not they're not finding balance, and that's why we have so many people that they're lonely, and you see, like, especially younger people that are constantly on their phones, and they're in relationships with their phones, not actually talking to each other and engaging with each other. That's part of the problem, is that we're just so obsessed with all this, all the dopamine, little dopamine that we get from all the likes and the interactions, and we're addicted to the endless scrolling on these social media platforms. And so people become disengaged and distracted, so they're not really working on, or they don't feel like they should get out and actually meet people in real life, because they can be distracted with their phone.
Yeah, and when you mention about it, yes, it's true. Everyone seems to be addicted to their phones, and you see it every single day. When you go to a restaurant, you go somewhere, you you can see a table with a bunch of friends, five, six
Yeah.
people, or even a couple. Everyone
Well,
is
I
on their
see
phone.
it. Right. And I see it in older people too. It's not just kids. So I see it with, women in their 60s. So
Yeah,
everyone.
it is absolutely insane and crazy. And to me, it's like, well, what's the point of going out or hanging out with people if you are just going to be on your phone? But yeah, it gets to a point where it feels like, again, outside looking in, that many women have given up on dating, and it seems like a lot of men are just flat out checking out of society. It's like, okay, I don't understand. Women feel that I can't find a good man because all men don't want to settle, and then men feel it is so much pressure. We have this we need to meet these very high expectations, and then what's the point of even trying? So it seems like we cannot find a middle ground where both genders want to meet, want to have a connection and love, but then they are so, it's like unbalanced.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely is unbalanced for sure.
Yeah, I know. Again, it is very, very strange. And the point, I guess, I'm trying to figure it out and how we can just help people is, I understand why the dating apps exist. I understand what the idea behind it is. Very, very good. If you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a chance to meet somebody special for you that you wouldn't have the chance to meet otherwise. But that has created a whole different problem now. It seems like what you mentioned, people don't want to meet in person, or in real life, whether it's just fear of rejection or just awkwardness or whatnot. It's easier to just uh, jump that barrier by just swiping left or right. In that sense, do you think that this is going to continue like this, where people are just like, okay, this is the only way I can find love, or are we going to eventually go back to, well, this is not working, we need to find, I mean, we need to get ourselves out there?
I think the pendulum has already started to swing the other direction. That's why we saw, like, Match Group, their stock price was falling, it still is. Um, and because I think people are hopping off of these platforms and recognizing them for what they are. They're not truly made for finding relationships and connecting with people. They're more like a social media site, really. It's just for getting attention and validation, maybe a chat buddy, and they're not, I mean, their business model is to keep people engaged on their site, right? And so if they get in a relationship, that means they're not going to be on the site anymore. So then they lose money. And it's just a different conversation. Like, if you talk to a business that it's a dating site or a dating app versus talking to a matchmaker, the dating apps, all they focus on is user retention and, just like usage or time that they're spending on it, and like how many more people they get. Whereas when you talk to matchmakers, all matchmakers talk about is finding the one for their client and finding the right person, and giving them dating advice and coaching and helping them in a lot of different ways in order to find the person that's the right fit for them so they can have their happily ever after. So it's just a different kind of focus and different intent. And I think also with, there's just so many bots and now AI, I think these apps are going to end up where we just have bots talking to bots, and there's not really people actually using them because they are a lot of work. If your goal is to meet someone and find a relationship, you have to send a bunch of messages. You have to set up all these dates only to find out the person probably use some kind of filter or something on their picture. They don't look anything like they did. They portrayed themselves. Maybe they had somebody else write their profile because they're nothing like how they portrayed themselves on or maybe they're just altogether not a real person at all. It's a scam or something. So it's I think people are already getting burned out by it. And our clients are especially. Our clients are the kind of people that are busy professionals and executives that they don't have time. They are used to outsourcing all the things that are not really they're used to hiring professionals to do whatever it is that they want to excel at. So that's why the whole spending time swiping hours a day is not appealing to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine how those people do. I mean, last time I dated was literally like 10 years ago. I was in a long-term relationship. I was married. Sadly, that ended in a divorce last year. But one thing I told myself, like, I'm not going to go do the dating apps. It seems from hearing from people that have been in those dating apps, like, clearly I see how that can have been affecting your mental health because you're trying to you're obsessed and trying to find someone, but the problem is you have this part of the choices where it seems like everyone is available and then no one is really. And I don't really agree with the algorithm. It's just like people are not numbers, right? So how do you guys? I know that you guys don't use any algorithm, but how do you find like I don't want to say the perfect match, but then the ideal match for your clients?
How do we find them? How do we find the perfect match or
Oh,
the ideal
how
match?
do you it's like exactly how do you feel like okay, this guy and this woman really can really match and connect?
Yeah, I mean, every client is different, but we look at, what is important to the client, and we try to find people that, fit what they're looking for. And a lot of times it's looking at values. We start at, there's the basic level, like geographic locations, and then also, age range and stuff, and if they want to have kids or not if they don't want to have kids. Some of those things are more along the lines of values, because you don't want to put somebody who wants to have children that doesn't want to have children, or like if somebody's atheist and then we have somebody that's Christian and their religion's really important to them. You want to make sure that we have someone that is a good fit, that their values align.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it just I feel like have you ever noticed that because you said that most of your clients outsource things, like you say, hey, if the time I'm investing is not making me any money or it's not being productive, I'd rather outsource to somebody who is professional, who's gonna get things done quicker and better that they can. So I understand why they hire matchmakers in that regard. But have any of your clients been already have they experienced what's been dating out there by themselves with the dating apps or just in real person and realize, okay, this is too much work and this is too much this makes absolutely no sense. That's why I'm going and hiring somebody who actually knows what she's doing.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's that we will align their values, what it is that they're looking for. And then we also help coach our clients too to put their best foot forward. So sometimes we will, have them meet with a dating coach or a wardrobe consultant. Maybe we'll do a photo shoot for them. It just depends on the client's needs ultimately.
Okay, so since you coach men, walk me through a bit that coaching. What is a common trend that you find among them that is keeping them from finding a partner? That you feel like, okay, we need to change this or just improve that?
Yeah, well, for men
Yes.
specifically,
Hmm.
so yeah, 'cause it's different a lot of times between men and women, and I think sometimes of course it depends. Sometimes they just don't have the proximity. They're not around the kind of person they're looking for, and they don't want to do online dating because they don't maybe they're like business owners and they don't want to have their profile show up online and or have one of their customer employees see them online, or they just don't have the time to do it, so to put or the energy to put into what they're wanting to find, who they're wanting to find. It could be too that they don't feel comfortable approaching women in real life and trying to figure out if she's single and ask her out on a date, because it's just, especially nowadays with the Me Too movement, it's really been a deterrent to guys, and I think makes them kind of fearful of being considered a creep if they approach a woman. So yeah, that's kind of stopped a lot of people from joining.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned about the post Me Too movement has had a massive impact on men, and it's not because of they. It's Here's the thing: if you're a guy and you're already anxious and nervous, and it's hard for you to approach a woman, right? Even as somebody comes and approaches you, right? That person can have the best intentions out there, but his energy is going to be like a confidence. He's going to be very anxious, very nervous, and the woman in this case might perceive that as a kind of weird, something like, okay, something's not adding up. You are saying something, but your body language is saying something else, and that could be labeled, you know in a woman's brain as a creep. It's like, okay, I need to be careful. It's not that the guy's going to do anything to me, but I don't know what his intentions are because of the energy and the vibe. So unless a woman is very excited and say yes, uh, I'll talk to you, or just I'll give you my number, or we're gonna go out on a date. If he's Even if the person says no to him in a very nice way, it feels like I don't want to be caught up in a place where I feel that I might become across as a creeper. How do you coach men to just overcome that part of like, okay, how can I overcome that and just be better when approaching women?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to building yourself up and having the confidence and, knowing what to say and how to say it, how to break the ice, if you will. It could be, so building confidence, it confidence is based on so many different layers, right? So the first layer is maybe the outside external things, like how you see yourself and or how you present yourself. It could be your clothing and your hairstyle and like those kind of basic things. Another layer of confidence could be based on like what you know and your different hobbies and interests and stuff, and also like your connections, your family, if you have a good social circle, working on those kinds of things, having different hobbies, different, things to talk about, and that will make you more interesting. And that will, therefore will make you more attractive because you have things going on. And maybe you're a go-getter and you're trying to be successful. That's attractive to people, and that's going to make you more confident. And then finally, like how you perceive yourself and how, if you truly love yourself, if you hate yourself, if you like, if you're constantly, that inner voice that's constantly putting yourself down, that's going to make you less confident. And, that comes across. But I think like the easiest way just to talk to somebody that you're interested in, is just go up to them and say something like, no, hi, I don't think we've met before, and maybe I've seen you around, or maybe you're like at a networking event or something, and that's the whole point, is to meet people. And you could just say something simple like, yeah, I don't think we've met before. I am so and so, and introduce yourself, really. Or you could make a comment about something that's going on. Just start chatting with people and just being friendly. I think a lot of it has to do with your energy that you put out. If you are a friendly, happy person, that vibe is going to be, people are going to see it, and you're going to be a magnet for people. They're going to want to talk to you. And so I'm not a pickup artist, and I don't try to teach people how to be a pickup artist. So I think, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of information.
You mentioned that you also coach women, and you said that it was different. How, in which areas or aspects are women struggling to find a partner?
Well, women, what they're looking for is different. Well, of course, the number one thing, people are always looking for someone that's attractive, and I think that's a lot more important to men. Women tend to look for a lot of different things. They oftentimes will have laundry list of characteristics or features that they're looking for in someone, and that person just doesn't exist because there's no such thing. And we've been sold this idea from Hollywood that there's some Prince Charming out there that's looking for us, and we just need to be in the right place so he can find us. And as women, and so women have this fantasy, if you will, about that guy that just, quite frankly, he doesn't exist. And so they feel like they have to hold out until they find this perfect person. And a lot of times they think that, well, I'm using a matchmaker, so I should be able to buy what I want. And that's not the case, because you have to, we can't make people fall in love with anyone. So we might have someone that, checks all these boxes, but she has to be what he's looking for as well. And it has to, of course, be a match both ways. And that goes for both genders. But generally, I would say that women are just a lot more complex, and so they want a lot more. They're looking for a lot more things than a person.
Yeah, I think that I've been feeling again, and that's why I wanted to talk to an expert about it, because that's what I've been feeling or seeing lately. And at least my opinion or my perception has been, okay, women have this abundance mindset because, again, guys are the ones who are approaching. So even an average looking woman, right, will get attention from many men because they're the ones who need to approach. So as a woman or as a human being, honestly, if you find yourself in that position, then you want to be a maximizer, and again, you want to find the best possible partner that you could find out there. So there's always going to be that, well, this guy is great, has all these things, but doesn't have X, Y, and Z. And I feel that, yes, I think I'm not saying that it's women's fault or just men's fault, but I feel like if we lower our expectations as a humans, right? It's like, okay, can we realize that the perfect woman is not out there, or the perfect man is not out there? How do women can feel or have some sort of peace of mind, lowering their expectations without feeling I'm just settling, right? Because nobody wants to feel that they're settling.
Well, it's just being realistic and really focusing on the relationship that you want versus these character traits, because nobody's going to be perfect, right? And we're not perfect, and we don't want anyone judging us or trying to hold us to that kind of standard either, right? And so I think it's important to think about really what is the relationship you want, more so than what kind of person you think you need to be with in order to have a successful relationship. Because just because, that person has all these character traits and you think they'd be perfect, doesn't mean they're going to be great in a relationship. So it's just more important to think about the connection, the bond. Is that person going to be there for you in 20 years from now when you're sick? And, are they going to take care of you during that time, or are they going to just ditch and run because they're really they're focused on themselves, and that's what made you attracted to them to begin with, because they were doing all these things about themselves. So it's just important to keep that kind of thing in mind, and just recognize what you ultimately want, and that's that connection, that bond, not just a list of character traits.
Yeah. And I think that's where you guys have a leg up when it comes to between matchmaking and dating apps, because you guys can sit both either your men clients or your women clients and say, hey, you either need to lower your expectations, or you need to change this, or you need to change that, just to give you a better chance to meet somebody that you truly feel excited about. Dating apps, on the other hand, is just like, okay, you can put as many filters as you want, and narrow your search as much as you want. So it's just the famous uh, thing of, I want a guy who is like 6 feet tall. Well, guess what? Only 14.5% of the population of men or whatever are over 6 foot tall. And that is without considering those who are already in relationship, or those who are not straight, and all of the things, and those who might not find you attractive. So your dating pool becomes much, much, much smaller. And what you guys are doing, it's like, okay, you might not find this 6 foot guy with a master's degree, being kind, being all of this, but
Right.
but you can find somebody who is going to be there for you when it matters the most.
Exactly.
Since you work with women, it seems like successful women have a harder time dating. Their dating pool becomes very, very small, and I think that mostly because they are hypergamy women, which I get it. You want to date somebody who is either at your level, financially, whatever, or superior than you. Have you guys been? Have you had any clients, women specifically, that normally, almost like by nature, want to date somebody who is, uh, again, from a financial standpoint, at the very least at their level, but it's harder for them to find?
Yeah. That is, yeah, a lot. It is really important to a lot of women, but the financial piece, especially successful women, a lot of them still, they feel like they still want somebody that makes more money than them. And I mean, now oftentimes women are making a lot more money than men, and the societal gender norms have evolved. And I think it's important, again, to look at the character traits and the relationship that you want, not necessarily money, because money isn't what's going to make the relationship works. So I think sometimes we get fixated on that, and it's just our ego. And really, what we want is somebody that's going to be supportive and help you, especially if you are a really successful woman. They always say, well, behind every successful guy is a successful woman. Well, why can't there be a successful man behind every woman as well? So I think it's important to look for, and success means different things, right? And supportive means different things. It doesn't just have to be tied to money. So you can have somebody that's an amazing person, and is going to be there and be supportive of you, and doesn't have to support you just financially. There's different levels of support.
How do you help women finding that balance, and getting to a point where they have to accept, hey, the fact that you're dating somebody who's making less than you doesn't make you less of a woman, one, and it doesn't make you masculine, because that is the narrative. That's the narrative we see nowadays. Like, successful women are masculine women, which I disagree with.
Well, they're not always masculine. I think in business that you can take on like masculine traits in order to be successful, but there's plenty of feminine women and that are successful and stuff. So, and I think, again, like I said, I think it's important to focus on the relationship you want rather than the checklist, right? I want somebody that works in this kind of job. I want someone that makes this much money and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that make really good money and they're assholes and they're going to cheat on you. So why do you want, there's going to be trade-offs. You're not going to get everything. You're not going to get the guy that he's alpha, but then he's also going to be able to support you and go to your events and, be there for you because, he's too busy doing his thing. And by the way, he wants somebody that is going to be super maybe submissive and like very feminine and it's going to be a caretaker to him, and that's not what you want. You want to, keep your career going and you want to be successful. So it's probably more important that you're with somebody that is going to balance you and combat it. Because I have yet to see two people that are super alpha be successful in a relationship. And if you think about when there's two celebrities in a relationship, it usually doesn't work out. And more often than not, because you have two people that are like very self-focused and their career takes up a lot of their energy and time, so they're not able to dedicate that to their partner. And so they need somebody that is going to be accommodating and supportive and help them with their career. It's not Build-A-Bear, it's not Build a Boyfriend, Build-A-Bear. So you can't gonna get everything.
But then dating apps and social media have almost like, train people or make people believe that, I can build a perfect partner, which is extremely unrealistic, and you have to have some trade-offs. But based on that, on your comment of building a bear, which is very, very interesting, I was watching a podcast probably 6 months ago. They were interviewing this psychologist that she did a study of probably 2,000 people after their first date. And they asked both men and women what were the traits or things that the person needed to have in order for them to give them a second chance or just given a second date. Most men had like a top 3 option. One was, okay, she needs to be somewhat cute. I need to be somewhat attracted to her. 2, she needs to be funny, but funny in a sense of like have a good sense of humor, don't take herself too seriously. And the third one, just being kind. That's it. I mean, we don't ask too much. Women, on the other hand, had like 100, like a different answer from, he needs to have like a long hair or khakis or this or he was making this joke. How did we get to this position where now it seems like everything is an ick from a woman's perspective?
Yeah, it's we can call it like dating to discount or they're like looking to dating for dismissal is what I call it. Like they're looking for reasons to say, yep, no, he's not the one. He's not going to work. And they already have this mindset that it's the guy is so not, he has to be this way. And so I'm going to look for reasons why anyone that I meet is not going to be a good fit. So that's I think that's kind of the mindset that women tend to have, unfortunately. So it's dating for dismissal. That's what I call it.
Dating for dismissal. It might be a self-defense mechanism from getting hurt or disappointed. Who knows?
I mean, that is definitely one thing that people will do. It's they put their standards so high because then that way nobody will ever be able to get close to them, and it's easier too to like be the one that's rejecting people instead of being rejected by someone. So if you try to like someone or open yourself up to like someone and they don't like you, that rejection hurts. So I think people will definitely try to protect themselves in that way. Yeah, I always say that guys just want someone that's hot and cold, or hot and cool. So like she has to be hot in terms of looks, but like just a cool vibe, personality, just chill. Like I said, have a good sense of humor and easy to deal along with, and not too drama, not too loose of a camera.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very, very sad, that part of like, hey, I don't want to get hurt. I'd rather reject other people that then reject me, and I think that's one of the reasons we are where we are now. But a little bit more about you. What inspired you to launch LUMA? Or I guess it used to be Cupid's Cronies, right?
Yeah, that was the original name. So I had been, the first couple I ever put together was when I was 16 years old, and they ended up getting married, and then fast forward 10 years later, I'm dating who's now married to a divorce attorney. And so we're always talking about relationships and what works and what doesn't, and why people end up in his office. And I thought it was really interesting. And I also had a lot of single friends and who couldn't, find their person. I thought, well, geez, I just need to connect these people. It'd be, that'd be easy. Just set them up, find the right person and put them together. And yeah, it's not that easy. Thankfully, I was naive. I've never worked in the industry before, and I just did it. I started doing it. I went in, met with all the different matchmaking companies, and figured out what I liked about them and what I didn't like, what I wanted to do differently, and then I created my own. But I had no training or anything. So like the first year, I just did it for fun and for free. I didn't charge anyone anything, and I was building up my database so it would have a lot of people to choose from when I was going to start having real clients. And then eventually I started bringing on clients, and it just started growing from there.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what have you learned from people? Because to me, this has always been fascinating. It's not about dating on a date; it's just human behavior, human emotions, regardless whether you're super successful or not at all. You always want that connection. You always want to feel love and love somebody else as well. But what have you learned about people in general? Because again, you're dealing with people who truly want to find somebody, and then you see how they behave, how their mind works, what they react to, mostly as a human behavior that seems complicated, but it's pretty much basic. Everyone wants almost the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean they're looking for that companionship. We are social creatures. We are meant to be together, and it's just ultimate. At the end of the day, they want that relationship, that companionship, and sometimes we end up providing that for them because we're their coach. We're trying to help them with this issue, so we're talking to them all the time about this, and we end up getting really close with them. But I mean, it's also you do learn a lot about people, obviously, because we're asking them a lot of questions, but then you also see them at a very vulnerable place, and and you're coaching them through times that maybe they're dealing with a rejection, maybe they're just frustrated and burnt out, and it can be really challenging. Obviously, it's dating, right?
And since you guys help people make get the best foot forward, how is the ideal first date? What's the mistake that most men are making on a first date?
Well, okay, I wouldn't just limit it to men, but like some of the common mistakes that we see for people, because I don't really know like between men and women how different it is, but we see people often will. So three things that we tell them, everybody, going into the date: don't talk about sex, religion, politics, or your ex, right? Because that's just all of those things they can bring up negative emotions, and that negativity will be reflected on you. And so leave those topics out of the conversation. You've been on this planet for umpteen years, so you probably have other things that you could talk about, especially other things besides your ex. So that's important. And then also, like, when you say don't have more than 2 drinks on a date, because drunk is never really attractive to people. And so those are the things that we try to keep people accountable to.
Yeah, you would think that that's common sense, but again, common sense seems like it's not common at all, right?
And it's so easy for people to, okay, and then I forgot to mention too, like, don't talk about like dating apps and our service or any other service, because they think that, oh, they have that in common, right? They're both single and they both have been using dating apps, or they met through our matchmaking service. And that just ends up like having some weird a weird vibe to it too, because it just seems it's not romantic. So let's talk about something else that's different. But yes, you would think that it's common sense, but it's not that common, right? Common sense is not that common.
But yeah, I mean, it just as you said, I feel that if people just could take change a few things here and there from a confidence standpoint, or just what to do on a first date, or things to avoid, it could help them, quite a bit. But as a closing question, and I've been enjoying this conversation a lot. It seems like I've been learning a lot from the whole industry, and how people behave and react. How can, and this could be applied for guys or girls, but I guess it would be more to guys. How can guys market themselves better?
If you're doing online dating, it's actually pretty easy because it just requires making some minor tweaks, right? You can updating your wardrobe, taking good photos, because that's what online dating is having a good presentation, and that's how you're going to get more swipes. And so, and your competition is not really doing that great. So if you can just differentiate yourself and upgrade yourself just 10%, you're going to stand out and you're going to do so much better. So I would say invest in your wardrobe. You can work with a wardrobe consultant if you don't have one. And it, believe me, it's worth the investment to get somebody that will help you, because unless that is your thing and your hobby. It's most guys, it's not. Most guys just wear casual, sweatshirts and jeans, and that's not the best way to present yourself. And otherwise, they end up looking like they're teachers or something, and that's not attractive either. So, work with somebody that really knows what they're doing. There's a lot of amazing wardrobe consultants out there that will even you can do even a half-hour consultation, and that will help you to stand apart exponentially. And then get good photos. Don't use these photos of you, hunting, or the snapshots that you have in your phone. Like, make it be purposeful and take photos that are going to be good for your online dating profile.
Huh, that's interesting. I wasn't aware, because again, I haven't been in the online dating side, but it seems like those couple things seems like almost nobody's doing, or just a very tiny percent of guys using dating apps. And it would be, it's almost like the bar has been set so low that if you improve, as you said, just 10% or 15% on some minor things, you would you would get a lot more matches, which I don't think if that translates to finding the real person, because I think it has to be more when it, more with connection. But do you have any advice for if that person wants to market himself better in person?
Well, that translates to in person, right? Is your wardrobe have an upgraded wardrobe for that first date, so you have a good outfit, and then just you can't underestimate the value of good manners. Manners make it the man, right? And I think that's really important. And just knowing proper etiquette. I think a lot of people don't know what to do, or how to present themselves, how to be a gentleman, and it's worth the effort to look into it, read about it. There's tons of videos, YouTube and stuff about it. So I think just presenting yourself in a way that it's just important. So
Got it. No, it makes total sense. April, where can people find you and work with you? Those people who are just tired of dating apps, and when just exhausted of, hey, this is not working, and I just hire a professional that you seems to have like a very high success rate on finding people, that they can connect with. Where can they
yeah,
find you?
they can go to our website at lumasearch.com, and Luma is an acronym for luxury matchmaking. And so it's LUMA search.com.
Once again, pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your time, and for providing a lot of context and information to why people are struggling.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank
Uh,
you.